your brief opinion on 2012, Tony?
I don't know. It's as simple as that. Only in the sense that there are people who are involved in my work, professional writers and individuals who are involved in 2012 and have told me that I'm part of the whole 2012 thing. Again, I don't have delusions of grandeur. I don't necessarily make those links, but other people have.
I know, yeah.
I don't know what 2012 signifies. I don't tend to go for these kind of great predictions of things are going to end, because in my experience, every single prediction of the end of the world and every single eschatological kind of prediction always tends to come. It never happens. So I'm just going to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. This one should be an easy one. What's the difference between cognition and perception?
Right, cognition. It's an interesting one, and one I'd have to just think for a second and think about the meaning of the words.
Cognition and perception.
Cognition is cognito, which is to understand or to perceive.
Yeah, because isn't it perception is more individual, isn't it?
Yeah, and perception is the process by which I perceive. Yeah, this is probably it. Perception is the process by which I perceive things through my senses. Perception is perceiving, which is the process. Cognition is the understanding and inner making sense of the perceptions. Is Excellent. How I would understand it to be.
Yeah, that's better than I can explain.
But a great question. Sure. Great question.
Do you think we're being assisted by light beings, stroke angels? I guess you could say daemons at this moment in time.
The light being, again, in my first book, I have a whole section on what I call the being. Well, that's not what I call, but what people in the near-death experience business call the being of light. The being of light is the daemon. Angels that people perceive are, in effect, manifestations of the daemon. The daemon will manifest itself in whatever way it can to make the Eidolon feel at ease with it. This is Absolutely. Why when people have near-death experiences, they see everybody from their school friends to Elvis Presley to their dead nana. But
yeah, I've heard all about these.
The one
these strange characters. Sorry, carry on.
And the one consistent thing is that this being turns around to you and puts you at your ease. That's your daemon.
Yeah, exactly. Like people have had their pets.
Yep.
Their pets just come back.
The interesting thing is that the younger the person is, when children have near-death experiences, that it's statistically significant that their beings of light will be school friends who are already alive or cartoon characters.
Yeah, absolutely. It's wild. It's
Mickey
wild.
Mouse is very popular.
I love reading the near-death experiences. They're so brilliant. They're amazing. This one, I know the term for this one, but it's completely gone. When you're awake but you can't move and you're aware of a presence.
Sleep paralysis.
Yeah, that's the one.
Sleep paralysis, again, is something I'm going to be writing about in my latest book, because I'm fascinated by something called hypnopompic and hypnagogic states. And the hypnopompic states are those states just before you go to sleep, and hypnopompic just as you awake, where you are accessing a kind of slightly different reality, where you're virtually lucid dreaming. But under certain circumstances, as you go to sleep, scientifically, what happens is the body starts to wind down and you lose the ability to move. Your brain disassociates. And what it does is it makes you feel like you're trapped in your body, which is sleep paralysis. Now, if anybody's seen the painting by Fuseli called The Nightmare, it really shows it really brilliantly, because it has a young woman lying flat on it.
Didn't have a window, and he had these really strange experiences where he would just be about to fall asleep, and he was really freaked out, and he said he could sense really dark, evil forces, and that's just something that's just come back to me now, and that sort of reminds me of a question I was thinking when I was reading your book as well. When we were talking about glutamate flooding the brain along with many other chemicals when we die, if we have, and I know that your hypothesis is sort of a problem or a sort of malfunction in the way that the daemon and the eidolon are supposed to work.
Could be, yes, because effectively, one of the things that when people discuss my work, and we debate it quite a lot on the forum, and I have regular meetings with people where we just discuss the implications of what I'm saying, is that, you know, the daemon and the eidolon are part and parcel of the evolutionary process of the body. So therefore, just like things within the body aren't perfect, the same goes for the daemon and the eidolon. For instance, there's an argument to say that the daemon isn't necessarily a good being, it's ambivalent. I mean, one would suggest that during the Stauffenberg plot, Hitler's daemon saved Hitler's life by having him accidentally kick the bomb behind the pillar.
Yeah.
And lots more people died. So the daemon is ambivalent. So therefore you can have an evil daemon. It's something I'm developing now called a cacodemon. And the idea that they're not necessarily good as opposed to the kalos demon, but at the same token, sometimes the communication channels can break down. Sometimes the daemon may not be able to facilitate things because the communication channels aren't right. And that's something I'm working with psychiatrists, I'm working with hypnotists and everything else to take this one step further. And if there's anybody out there that's interested in working with me on this, please get involved. After all, this hypothesis is not fully formed yet. It's just started.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, I suppose it's just like an opinion or an idea. You can take it as your truth, but as long as you are aware that on another day, things that you now perceive as the truth, you could discard, you thought were completely false and ridiculous, you could now take on board as your own truth. Yeah.
Well, the idea is as well, you know, there's one of the concepts that I deal with, I call it the Garden of the Four King Paths, which is not a swear word, by the way, which is based upon, ironically enough, funnily enough, a TV series that's intrigued me massively, and members of, and one of the pro by a guy, George Borges, and that's again this concept that we can live out there, and it's just a matter of guiding us along those routes. So all possibilities
hard to prove, but whistleblowers we have back engineered certain technology, certain advanced looking glass technology, probable future timeline, especially from Project Camelot, a little bit on the Disclosure Project, along with the UFO ET issues. So there is a lot of crossover, but like I say, you can. It's not as obviously scientific as the work that you're doing at the minute.
No, I mean there is a degree of crossover here, because I mean I've been interested in the UFO phenomenon for 40 odd years now, and again I see certain parallels. It was Whitley Strieber, the guy I was trying to remember before, and if you know about the case of Whitley Strieber in his book Communion, when he talks about being taken being influenced by greys and things, if you actually look into a lot of his later work, I think he's talking about his daemon. And I spoke to Whitley about this after I did an interview for his radio station in the States, and he was reading the daemon at the time, and I'm really intrigued to have his feedback on that, because I think that all these phenomena are linked in some way. I can't quite see where at the moment. And that's really fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got another couple of questions there. I think this one's relevant for a program that my mother quite likes, and I'm enjoying it now as well. Unfortunately, it's on Sky Plus. The medium in America, the English woman, I think she's called Lisa something or other. But there's a question here. Do you think mediums are more likely reading the daemon, or possibly using telepathy?
In terms of when mediums
when they talk to, and this is a funny thing, when they talk to dead relatives.
There are 3 or 4 top mediums on my forum, and each one of them has said categorically after reading the daemon that they now know what their spirit guide is. Yeah. And if it is correct that your spirit guide is your daemon, and your daemon has already lived your life before, that daemon will remember last time round the questions that were asked of you, and indeed the answers. Because, of course, the daemon has future knowledge, so therefore is aware of these things. So I think they're not really telepathy, and my medium friends tell me that that's the case.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll ask this question because I do a radio show on North Manchester FM this coming Friday, and the lady that interviews me is a medium. So I'll probably ask her this question as well as to what her thoughts on that are. But that's my opinion, is that the spirit guide is in fact the daemon. So it's not really telepathy as such. I have difficulty with telepathy because I can't understand the process by which it works. But that doesn't mean I dismiss it. I just don't understand the science of how that can possibly happen.
I think that something that sort of is, it cracks me up sometimes. You've got, someone who's passed over to the other side, allegedly. They should have access to, well, a lot of answers and a lot of knowledge, but they often come back and say things like, make sure you water the tomatoes, or feed the dog, and all this type of stuff. Yeah.
That's exactly it, isn't it? The banality of it all makes you question the whole thing, because surely the first thing you'd want to say is, hey, it's really great here, I'm best mates with Elvis Presley or whatever. But they never say things like that. They never tell you the information you really want, which, my suspicious, because I'm quite a skeptic in many ways, and such things like that just has my skeptic antennae out very, very quickly.
Okay, great. Well, we've got a little bit of extra time.
Excellent.
We've got a question that we skipped over earlier, which we can ask, which is Nassim Harameyn's work on torsion physics. Have you seen much of his work?
No, I haven't. Tell me more.
Good question. How could you explain Nassim Harameyn's work?
It's one of those things where you actually have to see it as a whole package, otherwise you'll get a,
Okay, well, maybe if I'm on again, we can pick that one up as an issue, clearly, because it's something I don't know about. But I will read up about that, and if you can send me more details, I will do so.
Yeah, he's got a really good 8-hour lecture. He goes into quantum physics, the nature of reality, black holes,
sacred geometry.
Yeah, the whole sacred geometry aspect. Yeah, really.
Okay,
brilliant.
No, I will do.
Yeah, it's a mind-blowing one for me. I really liked it.
Okay.
Marco Rodan. Got a little message there. Don't forget him.
And he is?
Pass. Yeah, good one.
Sorry, Marco, we don't seem to know who you are. The creator of the Rodin coil. No, it's something, again, I don't know.
Yeah.
The expanse of my ignorance is quite profound, so...
Right, that must be relevant. It is relevant to Nassim Harameyn. I think the Russians I've seen some Russian presentations on this type of stuff as well, and I think a lot of the Russian guys are more advanced in that area, and especially in terms of scalar. Have you looked much into scalar physics and whatnot?